Sorry if
excited
it's a
to
little
see
dark.
you again. No, it looks great. It's perfectly fine. It's actually got a little bit of a horror movie effect, maybe a little paranormal activity.
I don't know if I want to be associated with that, Mark, but sure.
Yeah.
If you say
Hopefully,
so,
no
buddy.
weird shadows pop up, in the
Right.
background. But I'll let you
Right.
know if it does.
Okay. Thank you, man. Thank
But
you.
super excited about Insecure. I was
Yeah.
looking over, kind of what your publicist sent me. So, first of all, I know you wanted to talk about the overall show. It's on its last season.
Yeah.
So, I want to hear your thoughts. Did it have a good run? Did you wish it went on longer?
It's been a great run. I tell you why. HBO has been so supportive of Issa Rae and what she's doing with this show. And just to look around and see ADs and DPs and producers and writers who are BIPOC people, who are people of color and women of color, LGBTQ, it's just wonderful to see that kind of diversity and inclusion on the show. And she's made very sure that that is happening on. So every time I arrive on the set, it's like I look around, I look at these youngsters, I look at people in positions of power, and they're all looking like me. And I think that is so important that there is a road for them now to start learning what they want to learn. Also, we use locations in Inglewood. We use locations all over LA, traditionally black centered areas. So just to open up this world of Los Angeles for BIPOC individuals, all of us who live in Los Angeles, I think the show's been important. And somehow it's spoken to the public because we had like 8 Emmy nominations, last year. So it's speaking to people, and I'm so proud, particularly after the last administration, shall we say, the last 4 years of an administration that didn't seem to welcome or enjoy people of color, women, LGBTQ plus, et cetera, et cetera. It's just great to see a show that has been this inclusive in front of the camera and also behind the camera. So
that's good.
It's been
So a lot of the crew
run.
was,
Yep.
people.
Yep.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Oh,
so what
yes.
are the stories that you're happy that got out from the 5 seasons? I know the 5th season is not on its fully released yet,
Right.
but overall I'm sure you've seen the finale and all of that. But what are the stories that you're most happy came out?
Because I can't totally talk about the story, I can say this. It's been wonderful to watch these 2 young women grow over 5 seasons. I mean, the story, when you get down to it, the show's really about growth. It's about negotiating. It's about learning who you are. I mean, you're young, you're BIPOC, you're in Los Angeles, a big cosmopolitan city, to sort of figure out who am I, who's my relationship to my friends, to the people I love, how do I want to conduct my life? It's always been about change. It's always been about change. It's always been about growth, maybe trying on new things, maybe letting go of old things, which is scary because in our own lives, we face that all the time, particularly when you're in your 20s and you're still trying to figure out who am I? I mean, what do I try on? What do I let go? Who do I embrace? Who do I sort of keep away from because they're haters? I mean, it's always about these 2 BIPOC women, these 2 African women trying to figure out.
Can you give me the 2 best moments of that highlight that growth in the show?
Well, it happened this season. They're going to happen this season, but let's say the writers are not going to leave you wanting. Sometimes season finales leave you like, oh my God, why did they do that? Why did they do that? I think you're going to be pleased in a very realistic way, not in a way that goes, oh, but in a way that makes you go, that's a little satisfying. Go, yeah, because it's life. I mean, this is what happens in life. I'm not giving anything away, but we have to make decisions, particularly at that point in our lives, who we're going to be. Sometimes the decisions are tough. Sometimes life comes along and does things to us that we never anticipated would happen. Just like 2020 and a global pandemic, and people were getting sick and people were dying. So it really is about who are these 2 young women, and they represent so many other people of color, women of color, boys of color who are growing up in this metropolitan city, trying to be good human beings, loving, kind human beings, but still trying to figure out who am I? And I think we always emphasize that. And I think the ending for this season wrap will be satisfying. It won't be, I guarantee you, it's not going to be like, why did they do that? I don't get it. Why did they? No, I think this was so intelligently written by our writers. They really anticipated how are we sort of going to pull all this together? How do we bring closure to everyone who invested for 5 seasons? People rushed home, had on Hulu, on HBO to watch. And I haven't seen that kind of, investment in a show in a long time. People were always coming up to me and saying, "Oh, I'm going to watch it tonight. Oh, I'm going to see it there. I didn't see this episode. I'm binge watching it." I always got responses from fans of that show, and it shows how powerful it was, how relevant it was. how resonant it was for folks who tuned into the show.
Wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about your character in the
David
show.
Carter, the patriarch of the family, Yvonne Orji's family. I will say you'll see more of the family. You're going to see more of the family in this particular final season. It's interesting because, again, talk about growth. You know, Yvonne learned, or Molly Carter learned along the way that I did have an affair outside of my marriage. The boy sort of forgave me, but it took her 2 extra seasons to sort of come around to, and again, you know, a loving father, we have a great relationship, but then she learned I made a mistake. I did make a mistake. Somehow my wife and I weathered the mistake and got on, but she couldn't. Something about it, she couldn't. So again, it's about, so now do I hold him to he's an awful guy, but he seems to be a good guy. My father, he did something bad. Do I love him? Do I want to keep our family? Anytime I had scenes with the family, absolutely. We had such a chemistry. Yvonne Orji, Anthony Neville's, L. Scott Caldwell, who played my wife. I mean, we had such a great chemistry. We were like a sitcom in itself. We'd come together on set or in the trailer and start joking around and start, you know, calling each other things. It was a real family. We behaved like a family. And I think to Yvonne's character, Molly, the importance of family is growing. I think as when we get older, you know, we can't take our fathers, our mothers, and they don't know anything. But as we become older and face other situations, we learn mothers and fathers will give anything for their children to do well. And I do think Molly begins to learn that throughout, and also this last season, how important her family is to her growth, to her stability in life, because it's all about family. And many times it's all about family. So anytime I had scenes, and I mostly had scenes with the Carter family as the patriarch, it was delightful to try and figure out, okay, how does Molly and David reconcile? How are we going to reconcile? I know, baby girl, you're angry at me because of what happened. However, you know, how are we going to reconcile our relationship with each other? That always touched my heart. Because that always touched my heart to go, how do you, because, you know, there are families that stay apart for years. Brothers don't talk to sisters, mothers don't talk to the sons. Oh my God, there are families that, you know, something happened along the way and they just don't communicate. And then toward the end, they realize we wasted all that time angry at each other. And what does it mean in the great scheme of things? So I don't want that to happen to this family. I don't want that to happen. And it seems like I think in season 4 has come around to accepting me back again as her dad, a loving Black man who raised his family along with the mother. And I think it's important to see those types. People make mistakes, Marc. People make mistakes. People make mistakes all the time. So learning that your parents aren't invincible or aren't superheroes, I think that's important to Molly's growth. They're not superheroes. They're loving people, but they make mistakes. And I think Molly learns that, hey.
And what do you think contributed to Molly coming to that understanding?
I think seeing how relationships went for her, I think seeing how difficult it was to negotiate, even good relationships, to see me going fine. I think they're difficult. Relationships are difficult, particularly with the people you love. Hey, if you don't love them or you really can't stand them, you can just say, forget about it. But relationships are difficult with people you love. They just are. Your brother, your sister, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle comes and you love them, but my God, they drive you crazy. So I think having the kind of troubles, or the kind of challenges, that's a better word, the kind of challenges she's had with her own relationships might let us see that between couples, man, woman, man, whatever, it's not easy. It takes some
and you came to appreciate that about her parents, and
I think so.
That's wonderful,
and that's growth. Again, I say the show it really is about growth.
And that's a very positive message. I really like that the writers integrated that, because it's also a message that is not very much put out there. A lot of times, you know, especially in Hollywood, a lot of our movies go, hey, you know, there's an infidelity, it's over.
That's right. You're quite right. There's no second chance. There's no second act. There's no second anything. That's it. And that's not always the case. Sometimes people admit their mistakes and ask for forgiveness and seek forgiveness.
And grow from that.
They grow from that and try and come together again. So you're absolutely, that's genuine. That's real. And I'm glad the writers had the integrity to not just throw David away or smash up the family.
Yes, you could have been a throwaway.
Yeah, but to leave on the family, how are we going to reconcile the fact that dad did stray outside of marriage and had an affair, but now he's back. He realizes it was stupid, wrong, bad choice, but he still wants his family. He still wants to love and take care of his family. That for me is so important. And this show, again, relationships and growth and change. The three words: relationships. It was about relationships. It was about growth within relationships. And it was about change, because everything changed. Everything changes, as you know, everything changes.
And a positive message about dads. So that was really nice too.
Very
nice
positive.
To
I was so pleased that, yeah, the black men weren't vilified at all. And even my relationship without my sons, you know, we have a healthy, positive, loving relationship, and it's wonderful. Even in the midst of a mistake that was made, which they all know. I mean, they know, the boys know it was, we're not keeping a secret, but even in the midst of that, they still accept me as a man that they can respect, that they can admire, that they can strive to be like. Yeah, it's complicated. You know, it's never one note. It's always, you know, relationships are always complicated, they're complex. So, and the writers have been very, very, very good about sharing that complexity with everyone. But what a great ride. 5 seasons of, I think we shot 10 episodes this season. What a great ride it's been. Yeah.
And was there anything in the last episode specifically? Because I know your publicist reached out and said there was something you want to talk about that happened specifically in the last episode, which I believe is episode 5, right?
Yeah. Whatever it is, I can't say.
Okay. No, I thought it was released this week. The last one.
No. It's this. You watch this week. I guarantee you, it's this week.
So, this week. Give me a teaser. What are we excited to
things
see?
That you will not expect. It's something you will not expect.
So there's a twist.
There is a twist. Boy, there's a twist.
Okay.
But again, it's a believable twist. It's not something out of left field. It's not something you go, well, what are you doing? No, it's
someone came back from the dead, or there's amnesia and they disappeared
exactly.
and came back.
That's right. 25 years later, 50 years later, they appeared. No, this is life stuff, man. This is life stuff. And that's also part of the intelligence of the show, is that they don't throw in any wild, let's just try this. No, it has to be in keeping with how Issa and with how Yvonne are growing as human beings and as young women in a cosmopolitan city. So they really were very, very careful to track that. And the community around them, let's not forget that. The community they chose to highlight, the African-American community, it's really important. Her relationship, Issa's relationship with the community, it's so important. That community is utmost in this show. How we honor the community, how we come together as community, how we support each other. It may sound like, oh, that's so sweet. No, community, particularly in these tempestuous times, when it was really communities that came together to try and support their neighbors. It shows a community that wants to thrive and support each other, the African-American community. And I think that was really important to this show. And even by shooting in places, like I say, inner city places, the locations that we use, it was all in support of saying, hey, the Black community in Los Angeles is here. They're hardworking, loving people. They support their families, and they support each other. Even people outside of their blood family, there is an interest in upholding, lifting up, and supporting each other. Man, put me on a show anytime that message is being sent out there. That positive message is being sent out to young men, women, that we know. Yeah, the Black community is, as maligned as it is, as troubled as it can happen, just supports each other and loves each other.
So David Carter is going to have a major presence in this next episode, is what I'm hearing. Will we get to see him more after this episode, or
you'll see me again? You'll see me again. You'll see me again.
Okay.
You'll see me again. Yeah, definitely. You'll see me again. And I won't say David Carter. I'll say the family. I always like to say not so much David Carter, but the family, because again, how the family tie. All the family is sort of together from now until the end of the series. The family, how we stand together, how we work out things with each other, the family, because it's
so it's almost like, you have a story that's so much focus on the two main characters, the girls, the young ladies.
Yes.
But then it always circles back to reconciling with family in the end.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's a great way to put it. Thank you.
You're kind of giving the story away, Greg.
No, but the circumstances you don't know.
Okay.
Or do we reconcile? Maybe we don't. I mean, or do we? I mean, the thing is, the circumstances is what I think. Yeah, the circumstances
Stay tuned,
is what.
Right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what you want to tune into. But it's been, again, an intelligent show. It's been a funny, just hilarious show with humor, and people everywhere have really tuned into. I mean, again, the Emmy nomination. It speaks for itself, and Issa's going to have a wonderful career after this. She's got. I think everyone's going to have a wonderful career after this. I'm just so glad to have been a part of, particularly during, again, I was living in an administration which didn't seem to honor people of color. I was living under administration. Nothing like has happened in the last 4 years I've seen before, Mark, in terms of the hate in terms of that. Seems like it was all right to be a racist. It was all right to say things and being anti-Asian violence. And what was the deal? I mean, what was going on with all that? And white men, when they marched to the University of Virginia, with the tiki torches, screaming hateful.
Oh, that
hateful
was staged,
things.
by the way, Greg. That was staged.
Yeah, well,
that was
again,
not. Yeah, but I know what you're saying. Yes, it's
that message.
There's a lot of craziness going on all around. So I think we
intolerance.
should always
it
bring
seemed
it
like
back to the family.
It seemed like intolerance. So yeah, healing within. Sometimes you have to heal first with the family before you can heal first with anyone or anything else. You got to heal.
And that's
first
what I really like about the story of Insecure. The insecurity is maybe of the world, but then bringing it back home to the family and resolving those issues is what will lead to true happiness.
Yeah, because the family is like a world. The family is a world unto itself. And so the home, it's a world unto itself, and those many things play out within a family that, of course, seems to affect the world too. Health, illness, happiness, and things that's all plays out within a family. So I've been very, very proud and honored to be a part of this. To be a part of this show, and I'm a
positive role model. So
and a positive role model. And while I see it going, I say that's okay. There'll be others. There'll be others. There'll be others that it doesn't stop. I mean, you may not see Insecure anymore, but there's going to be other shows just from the success of this show alone. You'd be crazy not to seek out other ways to tell this story. Let's change the narrative. Let's bring more stories about BIPOC families and individuals onto the screen. Let's change the narrative.
Yeah, and change the type of stories that's going out there.
Absolutely.
I think that was the issue for many decades. It's just the same tired cliches going out there, and not
stereotypes.
Yes,
and
things like also that. Not going back to what is good and beautiful. And I think that is what you've accomplished here with this show.
Oh, I think I and so many others who worked on the show, writers, directors, the DP have had a hand in all of that. And again, I see how much people invest in the show. They're so excited. I was somewhere last week where someone was just saying, I missed 4. I've been watched all of 4. And people and they had such enthusiasm and happiness as they were telling me what happened in the last episode, the recounting. So it's been a real honor. It's been a real pleasure.
Means the characters were loved, and that's the hardest part.
I think you're right. People took us in like a family, as if we were part of their family. Oh, that reminds me of uncle. Oh, that's like auntie. Oh, that's my cousin. They began to throw onto the characters their own family, their own blood relations, their own biological people. And you're right. That's because they reflected and saw in them. They recognized.
It's authentic.
I recognize him. I recognize her, and that's an accomplishment, and that's an accomplishment for the show.
Absolutely. So what are your next projects, Greg, after this?
Well, I just shot a feature in New Mexico. It was wonderful. I just shot it. It's called Impossible. It's in editing now. It's a very different story about this. Actually, a BIPOC individual, a male who's overweight, who has diabetes, and who resolves to change his life. He resolves to change, and he has a family and a community helping him, because obviously diabetes is a big problem in BIPOC communities, particularly African-American, the spread of diabetes, type 2 diabetes. So I'm one of the people who help. I'm a trainer who helps this individual. It's called Impossible. It's written by Brandon and Sakita Lewis. And we just shot in this beautiful spot in New Mexico where we were running and doing exercise as part of his regimen. And that is going into post and start hitting the festivals very soon, very soon.
Great. So keep us posted when that comes out, and we'll make sure to plug it here on Hollywood Times. And I'm so glad we got to catch up on this. I know you got a busy schedule, so I think we got a lot of juice for Insecure.
Yeah.
And I think I got a prediction. Your next project is going to start with I. I see a pattern here. Insecure, Impossible. What's next after that? Invincible.
I'm going to remember this, and I'm going to say, who said this? I'm going to tell my agents, if I see anything coming with an I, it's been predicted. Yes, with an I, it's been predicted for me already. But so thank you. I received that. Thank you very, very much.
Yes, and thank you for spending the time, and you have a wonderful weekend.
My pleasure.
Publish your article.
You stay healthy, get mask, inoculation, stay healthy.
Yes, absolutely. You as well.
It's been a pleasure.
Take care, Greg.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.